So, GIMP 3.0 in and of itself has been a relatively controversial project, very slow updates, and taking around 7 years to be dragged into the modern world kicking and screaming, with features that should have been available back in 2005. Non-destructive editing, I'm looking at you, or selecting multiple layers at once. I don't know how they were not present, but they weren't. Despite that, it's nice that these features are finally here. There are also many people who are currently making videos examining GIMP 3.0, and they're also pointing out many new features that they like and dislike. One such person whose video I really enjoyed watching was Livakivi. I really like his videos, and he has a very technical approach. He's good at what he does, and he really puts effort into his videos. What inspired me to make this video was because when making his thumbnail, he missed a GEGL stroke tool, and I wanted to showcase it. But I also wanted to see if there was maybe something else he missed, and I was thinking that maybe the problems that he was having was just specific to his setup or his computer. So I decided to repeat the experiments that he did in his video and see if I come up with different conclusions. As a disclaimer, I also wanted to say that I do not have much experience with GIMP or graphical design as a whole, nor have I used Photoshop to any significant extent. When I was on Windows Vista back when it came out, I did use Paint.net for a while, but nothing more powerful than that. So things I say may be incorrect.
Everything I say is just my own personal opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Initially, this video was supposed to be a little bit of a critique because I thought that there was a lot that was missed, but to my surprise, I ended up coming largely to the same conclusions. Without further ado, let's follow along and see what we come up with. So Livakivi's main criticisms in his video were the following. The installer was jank with the sun having an oval shape. That's just hilarious. That's not a really good look for GIMP. Good thing I don't see that on Linux because there are no installers. So you install from command line. The license agreement being available under the customized button but not under the regular button doesn't make really much sense either, because it seems more like a GIMP dev team oversight, and indeed it needs fixing for aesthetic reasons. So the licensing agreement being available under the customized button but not under the regular button seems like an oversight that was done by the GIMP dev team and needs fixing. Linux users don't really experience the same issue though, because there are no license agreements and you download directly from the command line, so it's a minor issue. The interface can also be problematic and take time getting used to for someone familiar with other alternatives like Photoshop or Affinity Photo. Even with somebody with no experience, it still takes time to find stuff that you need. Sometimes you do need to Google stuff. So the interface can be problematic, can take getting used to for someone familiar with Photoshop or other alternatives. You shouldn't need to Google everything. It should be intuitive. So I can see a use for Photo GIMP. Ooh, the interface looks really clean, but I like the way GIMP looks anyways. I know, it's a controversial take. There also exists a way to increase the text size, interface icon size in the welcome screen or the settings. Whoa, what's going on here? It's like bouncing back and forth. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's try to follow along with what Liva is doing and try to replicate it ourselves. So first, let's get started with a new project. Okay, file, new project. Okay, canvas size. I'm not sure what the size is, so I guess let's Google. What is canvas size for YouTube thumbnails? Okay, so the recommended YouTube thumbnail size is 1280 by 720 and up to 2 megabytes in size. Doesn't seem like a lot, but okay, I guess. I hope it's not too large to upload once I'm done. Let's Google for the image he has. Doggo? Nope. Doggo being punished? Nope. Doggo being punished with finger? Nope. I can't find it online. I guess I'll just need to yoink it straight from his video. How, you might ask? Well, seems like Doggy has no background layer. I guess we can remove ours too then. Boink. Now let's resize. Oh, he looks like a stretch doggy now. The text has boxes around it, and a large text box that can be awkward to use at times. I don't know how it is in Photoshop, but it's not my favorite method of dealing with text. I can't comment on how useful sliding would be, but largely I agree that text resizing is an annoyance. However, rewriting the tool seems to be in the plans for GIMP devs. On their website, it says it's a work in progress, but who knows if it actually happens anytime soon. Though they promise GIMP 3.2 will be coming this time next year. The way Photopea does it is better, but it did take me a moment to figure out that I need to press Ctrl plus resize. In terms of effects, it may be counterintuitive for someone who learned another piece of software like Photoshop and is not used to GIMP, but it's not so bad. It is pretty clearly labeled, like filters, and they have their own categories. Sometimes though they miscategorize the filters. We'll get back to this later. I've also noticed that job shadow is fairly weak and doesn't create a convincing shadow. It's too subtle. well. I think that using GEGL effects are better for that. Since I have no hope of finding GEGL filters in the filters menu, let's press the / on the keyboard, and then that brings up a search bar. In that search bar, we can then type in GEGL filters, or you can type in outline and find the filter. What's nice is it even tells you where everything is located in the menus. Using the GEGL filter seems a lot more convincing in terms of creating the shadows. The wind shadows are much stronger and look much nicer, as well as giving those outlines on the outside that Liva was talking about. Initially, I was going to say that I was not sure why Liva was having issues with the cursor when trying to change the brush size, but even I observed that it's being janky for me. It's not very smooth when changing. It also does not change hardness by scrolling horizontally with the mouse. I think this is an oversight. I think it should be more in line with how other programs do it. Oops, too much. Okay, let's undo. Why isn't it erasing? Let me try to remove alpha channel and re-add. What? It adds white background again? I ain't erasing that again. Just gonna read. Oh, seems to be there's a selection active. Alright. Control-Shift-A should unselect everything. Okay. It works now. Perfect. It is a fair point that gradients cannot be edited after creating them. Another oversight, but to be fair, it doesn't seem like gradients can also be changed in Photopea after being created. So maybe this is just a Photoshop thing. I don't have affinity to test it with. There's also apparently a smart select tool coming, GIMP. It can select objects quite well, but it is experimental, so it doesn't count. So he's right about that. So I would need to compare with other options to see how well Photopea would do the same thing, for example. Maybe I don't know how to use Photopea, but I can't seem to properly select things. I'd say GIMP is better in this regard. So with all of these little messing around things out of the way, I'm going to try to recreate Livakivi's thumbnail from scratch by myself. And maybe I can point out some stuff I feel like he missed. Without further ado, let's start. For some reason, I don't have a loading bar. Oh wait, I do. Yeah, that's not a good look. To make outlines outside the text, you can type / button to search. And search for outline, click enable outline. Ta-da! You have your outline. Then you could just change color and mess around with the settings, and you get what you want. Bit unintuitive. This should be under a unified menu, I think, but it's under the filters. Here's the final product. I got as close as I could, but an outer outline just to show what's possible through GEGL operations. In conclusion, I couldn't get to the gradient editor before, but I can now, and it seems that you can only change it in like very complex gradients and only partially there as well. So I also have the gradient edit disappearing from FX when I confirm the selection or move the gradient. It has no shape tool as of yet, though there are workarounds and maybe it is coming in the future sometime, but I'm not sure. There's a stroke tool and GEGL tools, and that puts a stroke on the outside of the word, but it's hidden and requires extra steps, which can be annoying and it's not intuitive. Alpha channels has to be enabled by default by the devs so that it erases to transparency automatically, because, for example, if I hadn't Googled that, I wouldn't have known that I needed to do that. And it's okay, it can be sometimes a little slow when resizing or changing elements, mainly because it runs on the processor rather than the GPU. So that would be nice to change that. This response isn't really as much of a response, but more of a confirmation. Thank you for watching my video.